Perfect. So, welcome and thank you so much for joining this free finance masterclass. So, this is actually the second time that I'm offering this, as some people couldn't make it the last one, which was a couple of weeks ago, and I had a few messages to put it back on. So, here we are, really. And it really does kind of mean a lot that you've come along. I know there's only two of you at the minute, but hopefully more join. And if they don't, then they can get this recording, which is still great as well. I've just kind of celebrated 3 months in the finance business, albeit I've been in finance 19 years, but only solo for 3 months. So coming along and trusting me with your next 45 minutes means a lot. So thank you. So today is all about your business is making money. So why does it still feel stressful? Because isn't money just the answer to all of our problems, even in business? Well, I think we all know that that's actually not the case. I wish it was. But shortly we'll be going through some of the reasons why it's not, but just a few bits of housekeeping because we're on Zoom and technical things can happen. Um, if you can just, I think both of you are on mute anyway, but if you can just stay on mute until you're asking questions. If you've got questions, then would you be able to leave them till the end as well? You can just note them down and then just keep them to the end. Um, and if you need to obviously answer your door, go to the toilet, then please do. We're definitely not in a classroom today. So feel free to do whatever. Um, Also, if anything happens during the call, like if it freezes or something, just let me know because it is just me hosting today. So I'm in presenter mode, so I might not actually notice. So just give me a shout, which is fine. I've just seen Amy's joined. Hi, Amy. We've only literally just started like 30 seconds ago, so you've literally not missed anything. Don't worry. Um,
Right.
don't worry. It should take around 45 minutes, depending how slow or fast I talk, but aiming for around that 45-minute mark to kind of let you crack on with the rest of your day or school pickups or whatever you've got on. Um, so I have met some of you before. I've met Maz and Amy before. I don't know if Amy and Maz have met Karina before, but I just thought it'd be a good chance to just put your name, your business, and where you're based in the chat, if you want to do that just now. So we've got Maz, who is based in Knutsford and runs a tuition business alongside a women's networking, which I've been to. That's how I've met Maz. We've also got Amy, who is a hypnotherapist in North Manchester, sunny Bury. Um, and we've got Karina, who is personal styling. I don't think we've met before, Karina. Maybe we've met at a networking before. And we've just got Anna. Coming, I'm Amanda, sorry, coming on at the minute as well. So thank you for joining. We'll just get started going through. So we're going to cover quite a few points today. One being why revenue doesn't always equal the financial stability that we all want and crave. Two being the three biggest financial mistakes that are keeping business owners stressed, in my humble opinion. Um, and the four numbers that every business owner should know. And then moving on to how to make more confident business decisions in your area of business. And then finally, if you want or need some support, then I'll show you how you can get that. So just before we get started, I just want to kind of ask a question with absolutely no judgment, but you can raise a hand in the chat or physically if you've ever thought any of these around. My business is bringing money in, but I still feel skin. I don't really know if I'm profitable. I avoid looking at my numbers. I make financial decisions based on gut feel or maybe what's in your bank account. So I don't know if anyone's thought those before. Yes, some nodding, some waving. I definitely have as well. So I just wanted to share this to make you feel less alone. And you're definitely, if you have thought those, you're definitely not a financial failure. Um, because I bet none of you've actually started your business to understand your finances or, spend hours on Excel tracking or in your accounting software. So I just wanted to point that out and make you realize that you're most definitely not alone. So before we get into the main bulk of the presentation, I will properly introduce myself. So I'm Natalie, and you can tell by the accent that I'm Scottish and I'm a proud Scot. And obviously, it's just been the World Cup. Let's not talk about getting kicked out. But I've also been an adopted Mancunian for 10 years this year and currently live in South Manchester with my partner. So I've spent the last 19 years in finance. Um, and some people say I don't look old enough, which is a great compliment. I think it's the Scottish skin. But if you can do the maths, then that makes me 38. And the plan was never to get to 37 and start my own business, but I truly believe that that was the universe's plan. And my whole time in Manchester has been spent climbing the corporate ladder, giving up alcohol, and then completely burning out last year. So during this time, I was employed at the same company and worked across various contracts with revenues up to £70 million. And I was employed in the commercial finance teams there. And that was essentially to ensure that contracts were profitable, manage the budgets, lead the finance team, and ultimately just ensure that the company behind those contracts were successful because we all want to be successful in business. Um, and kind of prior to fully burning out last year, I set up an alcohol-free and wellness events business for women. And during that period, when I was collaborating with cafes and wellness practitioners, they were all asking the same finance profitability questions when they found out my background. So I thought, right, okay, there's definitely a gap in the market, in the small business market, for what I'm actually employed at a large company to do. So I then decided to leave my full-time secure role earlier this year, set up Bothy Bloom Finance to help female business owners just like you. And it's been a journey so far. And as you're all business owners, you'll probably understand some of those pain points as well. However, one of your pain points is probably finance, which is probably why you're on this call, which actually I'm a bit geeky about it and I absolutely love it. So I guess there's no better person to take you forward in this. So we're going to kind of look around why revenue doesn't always equal financial stability. So we've got on screen here around like what happens. So when most people think about increasing their revenue, they imagine life just gets easier. So you've got more sales, you've got more money, hopefully. You've then hopefully got more financial security and hopefully less stress on the back of that. And on paper, that all sounds like really, really logical. But what often happens in reality is pretty different. So just think about your current business revenue and then double it. If you've got that number in your head, you're maybe thinking, oh my God, that sounds incredible. You've got all this extra money. But you're now serving more customers. You're now answering more emails. You're managing more inquiries. You're delivering more work. You're maybe buying more stock, depending on your business. You're paying more suppliers. You're potentially thinking about hiring. And I guess not all of that is completely true, depending on like your setup and offerings. Like if you're a service company, and your costs are pretty limited, but your big cost is your time, then you probably won't be buying stock or paying suppliers, but you will for sure definitely probably have more inquiries. So then suddenly, like all of a sudden, your business has become quite complex. And with that complexity usually comes with costs. So the mistake that many business owners make is assuming that just because revenue has increased, your profit, your cash, your financial stability automatically increases as well. But that's not always true. And you can double your revenue and still feel more stressed than ever. So why does that happen really? And that's really because revenue is literally one piece of the puzzle here. So I've seen business owners celebrate like their best sales months ever while simultaneously worrying about paying next month's bills because the cash hasn't actually arrived yet. So growth can be brilliant and it obviously is brilliant, but it's got to be sustainable growth. as you're looking at everything, ensuring that your revenue, profit, cash position, profitability of each of your service and products is reviewed, because that revenue that you've got, that's the one that creates the opportunity for you, but the profit creates the reward, and then the cash creates the stability for your business. So the goal isn't simply to make more sales. The goal is really to build a business that becomes stronger as it grows and not more stressful. And you can do this by reviewing your data and calculating like some scenario planning or creating a full budget and things. So from here on in, I'll probably mention the word data quite a lot of times, and whoever can tell me how many times I can say it, I'm not, I will say you can't win a prize, but you can tell me by then because it will probably be quite a lot as the talking point within this. So that's kind of around kind of what happens with the extra revenue. And then if we kind of move on to around like the three biggest financial mistakes that are keeping business owners stressed. So mistake number one that I see is confusing revenue with profit. So I see this quite a lot in new businesses. If you're completely financially literate, then you'll probably understand this. However, for someone either coming into business with no finance awareness, then this is often like the first thing that is confusing. But your revenue is not your profit. Your revenue can also be called like your sales, your income, the revenue into your business. It's the cash that you've received. It's the money that your clients are paying you or will pay you. So if someone says that they've made 5 grand this month, be careful just to understand whether that's revenue or profit. If it's revenue, they've still got costs to be deducted, and that 5 grand soon kind of swindles away. But if it's 5k profit, that appears to be good, but you don't actually know the revenue of that. So if the revenue is 200 grand and they've got a profit of 5 grand, no, that's terrible. Like they've got a profit margin of less than 3%. But if they've got revenue of 8 grand and a profit of 5 grand, Jesus, that's blooming amazing. Their profit margin is 62%. So your profit margin is calculated by your profit divided by your revenue, and the higher, the better. So I just feel that context is always important, whether it's in your business or you're online and you're judging yourself and comparing yourself against someone else who's making all these posts and slides. I've had a 10 grand month and things like that. You don't know if that's revenue or profit, and just kind of putting everything into context really on there. Mistake number two is not knowing which services are profitable. So this is also a really common one. I recently had a client who had 7 services, was profitable overall, but didn't really know where the profit was actually coming from, so didn't know where that driver was coming from. And after digging through and analysing, I then discovered that one service was actually loss making. But that's impossible. That would have been impossible to see on the face of it because all the transactions are in one profit and loss. And overall, the business was profitable. The key here, again, is data. We've all got the data. We need to use it. And if you don't know how to use it, then we can have a chat afterwards and we can run through how you can source that data. But everyone does have data, and everyone's data will tell a different story. But what it should tell every single person is whether one of your services or products is profitable or not. It probably won't tell you kind of staring in the face. You'll have to go look for it. So it might not be completely obvious just looking at your accounting software or your Excel document. You'll have to go look for it. And no one wants a loss-making service, even if you're completely profitable overall. What's the point? You could be reducing your overall profit with that hidden loss-making service or product. So, but once if you know that that is the case, then you can make plans for it. So you can either just completely end that service or product, like just get rid of it, or have a longer term plan to turn it around. Just because it's loss making today doesn't mean to say it can't be profitable in the next few weeks, months, year. It's just having that plan in the background to get there. And then mistake number three that I see, and I feel like we've all been here, is running your business emotionally. So I feel like we've maybe all been here. We'll probably be here in the future. I was at a wellness event a few weeks ago there was like quite a lot of stall holders going on, and someone who had a stall and knows that I do this as a business and finance grabbed me and said, like, help. I'm giving away all this stuff for free because I can't bear to say like the actual cost of it. And I'm sure that we can all kind of relate, like we all want to help, and most of us or all of us probably have done free work at some point. And again, it's weighing up what that looks like in the true data and impact. So I've done work for free, but it's been measured. I know the impact of it in terms of what I would normally be worth, what it would normally be worth, and what my month would look like without it. So I'm not saying don't do work for free. We're all human. You know, you might have relatives or friends or whatever. I'm not saying don't not do it for free, but you've got to know your data before giving it for free, if that's your choice in your business. Another couple of examples of this might be around someone saying, I think I've had a good month, so I'm going to invest in X, Y, and Z. But actually, you've not looked at the actual full data to confirm that good month that you've potentially had. Or someone might be looking at various services in your business. You might be thinking, right, okay, service A just isn't doing good. I'm just going to completely scrap that and launch a completely new service. But again, you've maybe not looked at the real and true data to confirm if this is actually true or not. So you could be wasting time launching a new service or product when actually you just need to fix the existing one by looking at the data. And another one might be a bit different where customer Joe Blogs hasn't paid their invoices, but it's fine. It's my granny's neighbour, so they'll definitely pay. But you didn't provide like a contract or payment terms and haven't followed up with it. That's still all of your data as well. So I'm guessing those might ring true with some of you, maybe not. But they definitely kind of ring for me, even as someone in the finance business. So if you've corrected those three mistakes that we've just spoke about, you should have the financial confidence within your data to avoid doing the guesswork. So for me, financial confidence comes from the data, the data, the data. So I wonder how many times I've said data. I don't actually know. I should have counted. Shouldn't have. I should have done a practice and see how many times it was and then done a quiz at the end. But yeah, so essentially that was all around the data part of it. Um, the next part is around the four numbers that every business owner should know. So if you only tracked four numbers in your business, then you should be making it these four or have them somewhere in your periphery. So these are my opinion, obviously, from someone who's been in finance 19 years and worked in hundreds of contracts with revenues up to £70 million. So the first one is revenue. So that's how much money is coming into your business. So revenue is the total value of sales that you've made before any costs come off. It's normally the easiest number to know because most business owners can tell me roughly what they've sold this month or have easy access to it. But if revenue alone can be pretty dangerous. So I've worked with businesses doing 100 grand a year who are struggling financially, but then also worked with businesses doing 40 grand a year who are thriving. So I've got a couple of questions that you might want to write down and you can have a think about in your own time. But the first one is, what was your revenue last month and do you actually know it? And the second part of that is it increasing, decreasing, or staying flat? So an example of this would be, would you rather make 100 grand revenue and keep 5 grand of it, or would you rather make 50 grand revenue and keep 20 grand of it? So again, it's all about the context and the data of it. The second part is profit. So what do you actually keep? So the profit is what remains after you've paid all of your cost of running your business. This is where we kind of start to move from vanity metrics into the reality. So, like I've said before, like a lot of business owners celebrate a sales month, but never actually stop to ask whether that specific sale actually made them any money. if you're not making any money from it, what's the point? We need to plan to get that sorted. So again, some more questions for you to think about in your own time. So there's two. The first one is, how much profit did you make last month? And do you know it? The second one is, what percentage of your revenue became profit? So that percentage that you calculate is your profit margin. So that's your profit divided by your revenue. And I guess the key takeaway here for me is that the revenue creates the excitement. You see sales coming in, you've got inquiries, you've got the booking forms, people are paying. That's the excitement of it. But then you've got the profit of it. That's the sustainability of that service and of your overall business. The third one is around your cash position. So can you actually pay your bills this month, this week, this year? So this is one that catches business owners out really. So you can be profitable and still run out of cash. And we've all heard the saying, cash is king. I like to say cash is king and data is the queen, basically. But the profit is the accounting number. The cash is what's actually sitting in your bank account, like right now. We've all got very easy access to our bank accounts. I'm guessing we've all got the apps. You could log onto your bank right now and see how much cash is there. So some examples relating to that cash might be that clients haven't paid your invoices yet. You might need to be investing in stock, or you might have paid for like a course or a coach or something upfront. So then that dwindles away your cash, but you're still actually profitable. So whilst your accountant might be telling you that you're profitable, your bank account could actually be telling you a completely different story and the other way around. So another couple of questions for you to think about in your own time. When you open your business banking app, how much cash do you have today? And then number two, how many months of expenses would that cover? Are you getting through the next 3 hours of today? Are you getting through the next week, the month, or next year? Like, what is it? And these are just things to bear in mind around the cash. So again, the key takeaway here is mainly around the profit is the theory of it, but the cash is really the reality of what's in your business. And then the fourth one is the profit by service or product. So which services or products are actually worth it for your business? So this is normally the one that I normally get the biggest reaction from when I'm talking to clients because it's the number that hardly anyone tracks. And most business owners know their total revenue, but very few know which services are actually making them the money. So I recently worked with a business that thought one of their services was a complete star performer because it generated loads of revenue, and it did. But when we looked deeper into it, it was taking like huge amount of time and costs. It generated nearly 16 grand of revenue, but less than £1,000 of profit. So you're just thinking, what's all my time for? Really, what's all the costs for? Whilst on that same scenario, another service generated less revenue, but significantly more profit. So again, this all comes from the data and looking at it properly. So again, just a couple of questions for you to note and take away is, which service makes you the most money? And do you actually know that? And the number two is, which service takes the most of your time? Because your time is money. So imagine knowing all of these points that we've got, which services to grow or remove, which costs to cut, whether you can afford to hire, etc. When you know all these points, you then start moving from being in the reacting mode into the planning part of your business. Once you're planning, you kind of know whether you know if you can be looking at a week ahead, a month ahead, a quarter ahead. It might not always go to the plan, but the plan is there and you can kind of fall back on it really. And then with all of that, we're kind of moving into how to make more confident business decisions. So without the financial clarity, these just become emotional decisions, kind of what we spoke about before. And I've got some examples here. So should I hire the additional support? Should or can I increase my prices? Should or can I launch a new service? Should or can I take time off? When we don't know our numbers, every single decision feels risky, even the smallest ones, because we're just not sure of what that outcome or impact is going to be on our profit and loss and on our business. But what if I told you that you can escape those anxiety thoughts that we've probably all had? So this is where the decision-making formula comes in. Before making a business decision, you should be asking yourself these next three questions. So, can you afford it? This is your cash check. Will it make you money? This is your profit check. Does it support your goals? This is your strategy check. If it passes all of these three checks and you're happy with those outcomes, because everyone's outcomes will be different, then you're good to go, really. But you need the data to ensure that these pass those initial checks, because this isn't just a finger in the air feeling, which I'm sure we've all done. An example of this might be you might be thinking, right, okay, I'm going to hire a virtual assistant to help. Your emotional thinking might be thinking like, I'm so busy, overwhelmed, I need help, but I don't actually know what I need help with. But your strategic thinking will be, right, okay, this virtual assistant's going to cost me £500 a month. Will they free up enough time for me to generate at least £500 of value somewhere else in the business? This then becomes like very different conversations with yourself. Another example might be taking time off in August. Some of you might already be doing that with school holidays or whatever. Again, your emotional thinking might just be like, God, I cannot afford to stop. Like, that's just not possible. But your strategic thinking might be like, well, what does my cash flow forecast tell me? But do you even have a cash flow forecast? Do you know your fixed and variable revenue and costs each month, each quarter, each year? What is your data actually telling you? You need that data to complete this decision-making formula. And if you don't have the data, you can't complete that decision-making process. And if you can't do that, it's just a finger in the air. And when you do that, that's when it all starts to go a bit Pete Tong. So once you've completed your decision-making formula, you could then replace panic, guessing, hoping, checking your bank account like multiple times a day, and replace it with understanding your numbers, look ahead, making decisions with intention, knowing the impact before you act. And again, in my humble opinion, the most confident business owners aren't the ones who actually know everything. They're the ones who know enough about their numbers to make decisions without second guessing themselves. And this for me is like absolute gold, not to second guess yourself in a financial situation. So at this point, you're maybe thinking that's really useful. I can go away and start implementing some of this myself, and that would be brilliant because that's exactly why I wanted to run this session. But some of you might be sitting thinking, I know I need to do this, but I actually have no idea where to start, or I don't have the time to figure it out, or whatever. So I thought it might be helpful just to spend a minute or so showing different ways of how I can support business owners depending on where they are in their journey. So if you're thinking, I need clarity on what on earth is going on, then you probably need a finance deep dive. That's perfect if you're making money but just don't understand what is going on. You're maybe unsure which services are profitable. You want like a clearer picture before making those decisions. And maybe you've never properly analysed those business decisions, because with this, you have the clarity, priorities, like kind of recommendations, and some sort of action plan as well. But you also might be thinking, I know what I need to do, but I need that ongoing support. So you probably need like a finance business bestie or partner, whatever term you want to use. And this is someone really who understands your numbers monthly with you, reviews your performance on a weekly or monthly basis, plans ahead, makes those confident decisions with you and advises you, forecasts what's coming. And this kind of all leads from guessing and becomes more strategic level. but you also might be thinking everything's just feels messy behind the scenes, everything's just a bit of a mess. Then I think you would need some operational finance and system support. So some examples of this would be around like reporting dashboards or cash flow processes. Maybe you need some improvements on your invoicing or your documents and things like that. So that's what that would entail. But then you might actually just be thinking, Natalie, I actually just don't have a clue what you're talking about here. I don't have a clue what's going on at all on this call or in my business. Then you probably just need a discovery call with me. So we will have 30 minutes on a call. You can talk to me about your business, your finance, explain what feels worrying or positive. Um, you can book through the QR code, which just comes up with my availability. Then it asks you a couple of questions, and then after that, I can send you a full request document just to help me better understand your business before we kind of spend that time together. But maybe the most exciting part is that everyone thinks finance is boring. So I'm actually hosting an event with Lucinda from Resource House on Thursday, the 10th of September in Knutsford. So I'm not sure if you're aware of Lucinda or not. However, she is a sales strategist with 19 years experience, so similar to myself, 19 years in finance. She is a former head of sales and now works with founders and small businesses to create that practical commercial strategy that generates the consistent revenue and growth. So it kind of follows on nicely from what we've been talking about today. And then we'll have a session on turning the numbers into growth. So this is where we'd be looking at identifying where your biggest opportunities sit, the pricing and value considerations, and then choosing the right area of focus for sustainable growth. So this will be like quite a hands-on workshop setting as well. You'll spend the time like, applying the frameworks directly to your business and then leave with those actions and not just ideas. So again, there's a QR code there. And the tickets are available now. It was only just announced yesterday. So you could be the first few to get in there. And then, so I just thought now if you wanted to ask any questions, but just a reminder of the work that I focus on, which is the profitability, your profit strategy, that sort of thing. I don't focus on like your tax, VAT, or compliance. However, if you did have any questions about those, then you can still pop those in, and I can point in the direction of recommended accountants. So I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. Or if everyone is good. There
Sorry,
was,
I was putting it in the chat, but I'll speak because it was annoying me. I had to write it all down. My thumbs were getting cramped. Are there any tools that you'd recommend? So basically, we offer like a huge range of services. So not only do we offer like different lesson lengths, but it's also like some of them are for like different ages, and sometimes we offer consultancy and things like that. Is there like a tool that you'd recommend where we can like look at what services we offer and whether they're profitable, or like how much of our revenue, like as a percentage, comes from
so
those different lessons?
yeah, so what accounting software do you currently use? Do you use one at the minute?
Tutors, you can get like your own tutor one. So we just use that. So that has all of our bookings, all things like that. So it is quite good. It does offer like really good insights, but it's just like the specifics of like what you were saying in terms of like different services and whether they're profitable or whether they're actually
Yeah.
just bringing in revenue.
So I'm not aware of those ones, so I can't comment on that specific software that you've got. However, the likes of like Free Agent and Zero, you can map your services to like a specific service. So you could say service A and then attribute all of your costs to service A that relate to that, but you can set it up so it's like it remembers it. So if, say, Natalie Scott always buys a maths tuition course, then it will always go to the maths tuition course unless you specifically say, oh, Natalie's now changed to science tuition, then you can still map it. So that's the one that comes to mind. I don't know your software, so I don't know the ins and outs of it, but the free agent and Zero, those have those capabilities, the same as like Sage and QuickBooks and things. Amanda, you are going to pop in.
Yeah, I just jumping on the back of that. And I know we talked about it when we saw each other a couple of weeks ago. I use free agent, and you can like I can see really clearly what turnover I've got by different categories of work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Essentially, the cost of it all is the same, pretty much. Um, and just with you just saying then about attributing certain things to certain categories, like I obviously have all my expenditure, it's obviously split mileage and web hosting, software, phone printing, and that's obviously just across the board.
Yeah.
So um, I think it's useful to see which types of work I'm doing is turning over the most money in a month or a year or what have you. But I'm struggling a little bit when you're talking about which ones are more profitable. And I don't know that I would necessarily be able to make an assumption on those differences.
Yeah. So I guess for things like your mobile, your internet, your networking days or whatever is included in there, I
Mm.
would normally attribute those to like a non-service line. So like a management cost. So they wouldn't necessarily be part of it. Kind of depends on how you could attribute like a percentage to it. If you've got five services, you could be allocating like 20% across each of them, but actually some of them might not relate to that. So I tend to kind of keep them a bit separate sometimes. Depends on the service of it, not always.
Yeah,
But that's one way to kind of look at it.
because I mean, it's fairly static, and it is one of those that, it's a monthly amount for insurance and subscriptions and blah, blah, blah. And everything else is, um, yeah, I don't think I could pick out that one is for one service over another at all. It's all because I
So
have to, it's
yeah,
in-person work. And so I'm going out, and whether I'm doing an office, a home, a move, or whatever, essentially, I need all of those things in. So my expenditure, whilst it's, obviously I get a total for each month and across the year, I can see how it's broken down, but I guess, yeah, I don't know.
so with those elements, then if they don't relate specifically, I'd be putting them to a separate non-service line and keeping your time allocated to the rest of the services. So if you've gone to Joe Blogg's house to do a deep clean, I don't know, I'm just making up these because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know your services, but say you put 10 hours, you've got £100 revenue cost there. That's £100 there. But actually, Mary down the road in Salford might want an organisation month or something where you've got £300. So you've got an organisation, then a deep clean. So that's two separate services, but the revenue would go separately and your time and your cost allocation would go separately as well. But all those other bits like your phone and whatever, they would stay separately into like a management cost code or something.
okay, right, okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
I haven't got a question as such, Nat, but just that was really useful. I've worked, you forget what you know. Like
Yeah.
I've worked in retail as an area manager and was mega finance, and then after that was education. And like I've actually got my AAT qualifications
Oh
and
wow,
in
amazing.
teaching, but I have my own business. I have not been applying most of the things that I know. So for you
Yeah.
to come and just say, let's just go back to these keywords and let's track these. And emotionally, I would say hormonally, I about 1 week, a month, I'm hormonally looking at financing my business. So it's stepping back. So I'm just going to go data, data, data. And I don't do things as a percentage. I might have it as a monetary value, but I like that. I'm going to make everything a percentage because it's easier to then see and compare, isn't it, when it's a
Yeah.
percentage?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can set up however, again, however you've got it structured on Excel or Free Agent or Zero, whatever you've got
Yeah.
on the accounting softwares, it gives you the percentage. But if you're looking at it, if you're extracting or whatever, you can just do a simple percentage calculation because that gives you a truer definition of where it's going or where it has been.
Yeah. Yeah, so useful. And in terms with working with you, because what your pricing, I know obviously it's different depending on what everybody needs, but what are your from prices, like your different packages that you offer?
So it depends. If it's a new business which you're not, then it will be from £300.
Yeah.
If it was a newer business, it would be from £150, because of the amount of transactions that are
Yeah.
involved. And if you already use like Zero
Mhm.
and Free Agent and things, it's quicker to do that rather than sit and gather in everyone's
Yeah,
20 sheets of Excel
yeah,
documents.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
perfect.
I've got one question.
No worries.
So I use Zero. I'm familiar with Free Agent. A lot of people are raving about Free Agent at the moment. Is that linked to NatWest Bank?
So yeah, it's linked to the Metal account, which is
All
part of the
right.
NatWest
Okay.
brand. I've just recently changed over from Zero because I prefer Free Agent. Some of the clients use Zero and getting information out of it. It's still like the same thing, but it's just
Yeah.
like I find it easier.
Yeah.
All you have to do is open a Metal account, which takes like 2 minutes to do. It's an app. And then they send you the card and they set it up. And I think you just have to do one business transaction in it. And then you've got the software for free. I can't remember if you have to do what is it one every month, Amanda? You might know because you've been on it longer. But I think it might just be like a one-off transaction you need to do.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many transactions on metal, but sorry, did you say metal or
Yeah.
oh, I don't know actually. I don't always do transactions. I've got a metal account purely to keep my tax.
All right. Okay. So
My
yeah, you
tax
could.
pot, I save in my metal
Yeah.
one to get interest on it. And then I forget about it and
Yeah.
I can
So
touch it,
you
but I
could.
don't touch it.
Yeah.
There's obviously different ways of working it. So you could have it as just a safety pot and secure it away, like Amanda, or you could actually use it as your business banking.
Yeah. So do you use it for your business banking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use Starling because I'd already set Starling up before I set up metal and went to
Yeah.
free agent.
Yeah.
I was Excel spreadsheets for years, but it is seriously a revelation going to free agent a couple of years
Yeah.
ago.
It is.
Okay, I might have a look at that. Thank you.
No worries. So honestly, thank you so much for coming along today. I hope you all got something from it. I should have set up some sort of feedback form before today, but hopefully you found it useful. Obviously, as a new business, I'd appreciate like any comments or shares from today. And I'll also send out an email on the back of this in the next half an hour or so. It will come from the email where I've got in red there. It might go to your junk, so just keep an eye out for it. And yeah, if you've got any questions or anything, please just either reach out on that email or on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever is easiest for you. But thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoyed that. Thank you, Nat.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Natalie.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
See you. Bye.